17% of Americans say that polygamy is morally acceptable, yet in a survey asking University of Kentucky students, most were not aware of the background issues dealing with polygamy. Although 24 out of 30 students were aware of what polygamy was, only 2 knew who the Fundamentalist Church of the Latter-day Saints were. Throughout this documentary, we will dig deeper into how the students of UK feel about the issues surrounding polygamy and why we should not accept polygamy in society based upon this research. Many religions across the globe practice polygamy. However, we will be focusing directly on a Mormon church based in the United States. The statements made throughout this documentary are not meant to impose other religious beliefs onto the Mormon community. Instead, we are trying to inform our own community about the darker side of polygamy. When we asked the students what polygamy was, the majority referenced the popular television show Sister Wives. If you thought that a family with one husband and multiple wives consisted of drama, you would be 100% correct. Sister Wives and other shows glorify polygamy to the public and rarely show difficulties that it comes with. Pop culture on television and social media focuses on what will gain the most money. By showing the drama between family members, they make the most money. People love watching something unravel. One of the major issues the family faced was fleeing from the law, but Cody Brown, the husband of these wives, was never charged with anything. Law enforcement in Utah would only pursue charges against polygamists in cases where the parties include a partner to marry through misrepresentation or are suspected of committing a collateral crime such as fraud or abuse. Unlike Cody, a man named Warren Jeffs has been convicted of these crimes. The mainstream Mormon church abandoned the practice of polygamy, but many groups across Utah still practice plural marriage. So what is the dark side of polygamy? The Fundamentalist Church of the Latter-day Saints, also known as the FLDS, is a Mormon church centered in Utah and Arizona, but also have followers in other states, British Columbia, and Mexico. Most people who are aware of this group are concerned for the women and children involved. Warren Jeffs, the man just mentioned, is considered the prophet of the FLDS and is president since his father passed away. He acts more as a dictator than a leader, yet their community worships him like a god. In 2011, after many years of trial, Jeffs was convicted to life for sexual assault of a 12-year-old girl and 20 years for sexual assault of a 15-year-old girl. Like many other women, both of these girls were forced to be his wives. It has been found that Jeffs has over 70 wives and more than 50 children. Warren Jeffs uses his power to marry young children with older men and even reassigns wives if he feels like it. Jeffs controls every aspect from the activities they play to the food he eats. Food like potatoes have been banned from meals for no reason other than the prophet said so. Although he is now behind bars, many people still follow his rule. Many people who have escaped understand the reality of which they were living in, yet others in the community are content with their lifestyle. They see no wrong in all of the rules Jeffs has created. Escaping polygamy is something that some men and women chose to do because that is their only option to break free of the situation. Unlike Sister Wives, documentary shows like Escaping Polygamy broadcast how sisters who escaped a Mormon church named the Kingston Clan help others out of their situations. Escaping polygamy is a tricky thing because these groups are always protecting their members with high fences, cameras, and guards in trucks. Other famous former members, like Rachael Jeffs, talks in interviews about how she broke free and how she realizes how wrong her old life was. Rachael was one of Jeff's favorite children, but not for the reason most would think. In the book she wrote after escaping, she alleges that her father used to molest her as a child, but reasoned that this is how she will learn and because it is out of love. Most people that have escaped the FLDS have come to realize that most things that used to be out of love were not true. They were out of the want from the men. After conducting this research, we interviewed 2 students at the university and heard what they had to say about the FLDS and Warren Jeffs.
Abuse can never get anywhere, so especially the kids marrying these older people is definitely not right. But I feel like this is a lot worse than any other countries, just because he's changed the way that the what was that word?
Polygamy.
The P word works and like what he has like brainwashed all these people to think that. I feel like if it's in their religion, like they should be allowed, because I mean we're a country of like freedom of religion.
I feel like there would be a lot of drama. I'm just like, you know, coming from my head and my perspective, if I had to share my husband, I don't think I'd be very happy about it. So I feel like the drama could probably be accurate. Yeah, I feel like a lot of what's aired on TV now is trying to make this generation and other generations more accepting of new movements, you know, because I know like my generation is a lot more accepting of like probably polygamy, LGBTQ, like that sort of thing than like my parents' generation. So I feel like a lot of that has to come with us being exposed to it more. I feel like government shouldn't. I mean, it's hard because I feel like government and religion should be completely separate, because, you know, one is more, you know, religious is like what you believe, it's what you feel is right, and government's kind of just like what you're told. So I feel like, but then it makes it hard because then the government shouldn't say polygamy is illegal if it's your religion. So I don't know. That's a hard question to answer. I think it's wrong. I don't think, you know, there are laws and there are reasons why, you know, you have to be 18 to be considered an adult. Because, I mean, even at 18, I still can't even make my own decisions. I have to call my mom if I get sick. So, like, I think that's just crazy that he would, you know, marry a 15-year-old, because that's, at 15, you're not ready for adulting. I mean, I think it's all wrong. I feel like it reflects poorly if the other religions aren't necessarily practicing the whole polygamy aspect of it. And I think like socially I feel like it gives a lot of, it makes people think like differently, and it makes people have misunderstandings of the religion as a whole.
There are many stakeholders in the controversy over polygamy. The women and children involved in the church and the community are a major stakeholder, but also the government is one too. Governments all over the world have been contemplating on allowing polygamy and bigamy in their countries. Utah's government usually turns a blind eye on polygamy, but has recently tried to create harsher laws and punishments. Many in the United States argue that banning it violates their First Amendment right to freedom of religion. Because of these strict rules to not interfere with basic rights, there are now harsher punishments if convicted with domestic abuse. The government in India said to their Supreme Court that polygamy is not a religious practice, but rather a social custom, which the state can interfere with to ensure that Muslim women's fundamental rights are not violated, so it is not protected under Article 25 of the Constitution. But to us, the people of this college are also stakeholders, since we want to inform them of the issues surrounding polygamy. By knowing this information, they can confidently talk about the issue to other people and aware others of what is happening in a world outside of their own. The whole point of researching a controversial topic is to decide if it should be allowed or not. The harsh rules that the FLDS follow makes polygamy seem quite undesirable to most people. Children who are born into a polygamous family are forced into the ways of their parents without say, and the situation Warren Jeffs put his children in were traumatic to the daughters tremendously. The reality of polygamy is hidden from the public, but once the public knows, most may start to reject the idea of it. It is not moral in our society to force children into marriages or keep them hidden from the outside life. Although there is separation between church and state, at what point do they need to come head to head? Perhaps when the safety of men and women are involved.